Alright, it's September 2nd, 1988, and we have with us Michell N. What's your name?
Michell N.
Where were you born?
In San Francisco.
And what is your permanent address?
364 San Benito.
You want to say it louder?
364 San Benito.
Yeah.
Area code 94127.
San Francisco.
San Francisco, California.
And when were you born?
5/24/69.
5/24/69. And as you know, I took a photograph and I want to use it for my book called Addict. And I'm going to do a load of 50 other addicts. Have your photograph on one page and then your story on the other page. So I basically want you to tell me about your childhood and what happened and what pain or joy, bizarre episodes, something interesting that another addict might read and get hope, and your spiritual path. So, just like me.
Cool.
Or you're talking to a sponsor, whatever. You have 90 minutes if you want.
9 minutes. Okay.
Or 10 minutes, whatever you want to know. The short, quick, and simple, or long and interesting.
I was born in 69, which is like the summer of love, and I was born to people who weren't married, a French woman and an Englishman, and the father, my biological father, did not know that to my understanding, he did not know that his girlfriend or whomsoever, he much used to call her, was pregnant with me, and she did not tell him, and she went ahead and had me, and I was put up for adoption like instantly after birth, and so I have abandonment and rejection issues as far as like day one, as far as like right after birth, and then I was adopted by the parents, my legal parents that I have now. I was adopted about 2 months after birth, 3 months, maybe August. I was adopted into a upper middle class family, into a dysfunctional family that I didn't know that I had. All my life, there was 2 other brothers. My father was married before and had two sons as a result of that marriage, who were both learning disabled and hyperkinetics. And my own personal diagnosis, if I was able to take an inventory, would be to say that they were addicts, alcoholics, sick people, whatever. My father was always bought everything he did. He was kind of like that. He controlled everything and everyone by money, and I was given no emotional support, growing up all my life. No emotional support, psychological support. And he began to drink very heavily from when I was small, I can remember. And in the early 1970s, my mother told me a story of when she was watching Days of Wine and Roses, and I looked up into the TV screen and I said, "Is that what's wrong with my daddy?" So I knew at a very small age that my father was an alcoholic. My mother, growing up, through my early childhood, was a best, like my best friend. She, I had no father, and so my mother played both roles, and she was just there for me. I thought she was there for me, really. Thought she was there for me. Went to private school and began to isolate. I was really scared, and I thought that I was back from I can remember 2nd grade, 3rd grade, I always thought I was either better than everybody else or worse. It's like I had more talent, I could do more stuff, smarter. And I also thought, it's like I was the worst one, and I was always like the last one picked for like the PE games, like in 2nd and 3rd grade. I isolated from early grammar school up to today. 19 and a half years of like isolation and sabotage, self-sabotage. I was very scared of drugs when I was younger, and they were always like a bad thing, and it was always something that my brothers were into that I was never recommended to take part of. They were really scary because I didn't want, my parents to think of me what they thought of my brothers or what they said to me about my brothers and how bad that they were. And you don't have sex, you don't smoke, and you don't take drugs or steal. Those messages were very clear, but however, something bizarre happened and they all got turned around. My drug use began when I was 15. And I started, the very first drug I used was MDMA, methamphetamine, and I loved it. I felt instantly I felt like I automatically accepted myself, like I was okay. I was okay in my own skin. I wasn't disappointed with the way I looked. It seemed like for the first time I felt something. It seems like I had never felt all my life. And all of a sudden I use drugs and I feel this sort of like happiness and stimulation that was not there before. And I can remember from the very first time I ingested drugs into my body, that the messages in my head, I was automatically already trying to defend my usage, thinking, if those people who talked about how bad drugs were, if they had actually tried them, then, they wouldn't be saying don't use them. And that's where my rationalization and denial began. My addiction progressed over 4 years. And when I turned 18, I met a bunch of people, got introduced to freebasing, and I was curious, I was happy with my other fun drugs, and that was my big thing. And in the process of in between this, I had experimented with did mushrooms and acid and pot, speed, MDA. I liked anything that would wire me and keep me up. I liked that extra energy. I didn't like drinking, that much, because it always seemed to have had the opposite effect that I wanted to. And pot also, I didn't really like to smoke pot a lot because I was really tired of being down and depressed. I always wanted to be up and happy and alive. And I got introduced to freebasing. And from the get-go, from the very first hit, I could not stop. I never remember a time that I really enjoyed freebasing. All I knew is that if I didn't get a hit right after the last hit, that I was going to I was going to hurt, and I didn't want to hurt. I just thought I was going to go nuts, and I went to any lengths to get that another hit, and any lengths. I was fortunate enough to have this happen at a pretty good time in my life. I think it was a pretty good time when I just turned 18 and I was supposed to be looking for a job. I graduated high school. My drug use interfered with my high school education, which was very important to me. I was enrolled in a Catholic high school, and I wanted to be an artist, or I wanted to be sort of my ambition when I was when I was a senior in high school was to take drugs and go to clubs and dance and wear funny clothes and to be a living art form. And to me, which is a living art form, I was a very visual person all my life when I grew up. I was always like going into stores and like neatening things on the shelves and just anything. I'm just always a very visual person. It got scary. The freebasing land it just got real scary, and it got to where I was hanging out with strippers and people that were buying cocaine by the quarter kilo, and they slept with 357 Magnums under their pillows, and it just got really scary, and I got scared, and I thought, that I was gonna die. And I used to smoke so much cocaine. I'd be smoking cocaine for 3 days, and I used to get up and throw up and keep throwing up and go back and smoke some more. Sometimes I'd sprinkle some heroin on the cocaine, but I never really liked it. It always made me too nauseated, and I never liked it. But for some reason, I just kept doing it again. Freebasing, I never really liked it. Somehow, I always ended up doing it again and again and again. I would promise myself I'm not going to use, and I would do it again and again. I got real tired of seeing the people that I was using with. I got real tired of how their attitude changed, when they ran out of drugs. I got real tired of having to not be able to be the person that I wanted to be and sit there and be quiet so someone would feed me drugs. I got real tired of needing to I got real tired of this is part of my own disease. It's like I felt like the only way I could be appreciated or valued was to give something in return, and how I did that was by sleeping with people to get drugs, or to not, better yet, to not feel as guilty about using. They're using, they seem to like me better if I sleep with them and then use, etc. July 14th, 1987, I got sick and tired of being an addict and practicing addict, and I decided I wanted to get recovery. And if there was such a thing, I really didn't know. The only thing I knew about were those ads that you see in the papers about, call base if you want to clean up or whatever. And I got on the phone. I knew someone that was in the program in Narcotics Anonymous, and I called her and I said, I need a name of a hospital. I want to go. I need some help. And she gave me the number of a treatment facility in San Rafael, California, which I went to that night. It was a really, really hard thing for me to do. I was, I just turned 18, and I drove, to my mother's office. She worked in this office building downtown, and I drove in there, and I went, and then I had 4 days, I hadn't slept for 4 days, and I had, makeup all over my face and the same clothes on, and I walked in and I started crying, and I told her, Mother, I'm a cocaine addict, and I have a very expensive habit, and I want to get some help. And she helped me. She said, yeah. She threw me in the car, brought me home, and I threw a bunch of stuff in a suitcase, and she drove me to the hospital. When I was in the hospital, I'm lucky. I feel lucky that I was able to be introduced to Narcotics Anonymous by 3 different institutions, and that's helped me. That's made me who I am today. The first institution I registered to go for 45 days, and I thought, gosh, that seems like a long time. And little did I know that it was not that long of a time. I went, and I couldn't feel, I couldn't think. all I did was like sleep and wake up, and I did what they tell me to, and I answered the questions and the little Hazelton step booklets, and the counselors there kept grabbing my books and said, no, I'm sorry, you're not powerless yet, we're going to send you to long-term, you haven't gotten it yet, you're not feeling. And I sat there and just sort of naturally anesthetized, just kind of shook my head and said whatever. I didn't understand, and I had these feelings of again being less than and not being able to fulfill, like do what I'm supposed to do, not being able to play the game right. I didn't feel like adequate, like I could give them what they wanted. But I was lucky because I did give myself like what I wanted, and they sent me off to long term with my real treatment center that was like 2 months, and I began to clear up a little bit in the second treatment center. At the end of that, and I did a 4-step and did my 4-step 3 days in Montana in the wilderness all by myself. I didn't talk to another human being for 3 days. It was a very kind of intense experience, and it really got me in touch with being powerless. I just prayed that the sun would like shine every day. After I graduated that treatment center, they suggested that I go to a halfway house, and I agreed. And I fell in love with the program when I was at this halfway house, and I was going to about 11 meetings a week, and I really had the feeling of being like I was okay. All of a sudden, going to all these meetings and I'm seeing people, and it's like I'm okay today. When I walked in with like 2 different colored hair and these scrunchy clothes and stuff, and I was okay. No matter what I looked like, I still got hugs. People loved me. People called on me at meetings and asked me to share. It's like they wanted to know like what I was about. And it was just a phenomenal feeling of okay, just that I was okay and that I was loved no matter what. And I came back. I moved from Colorado. I had 6 months of continuous abstinence from alcohol and drugs. In January of '88, and I came back to California. I decided I wanted to go to art school. So I registered and went, and my priorities were then that I wanted to go back to the same lifestyle that I had, because now I haven't incorporated drugs. I wanted to go back to, the places that I went to dance and the friends that I used to hang out and the music, and I wanted it all the same, just without the drugs. And I stopped going to meetings for 3 months, and I had virtually nothing to do with the program for 3 months. I stayed clean by the grace of God. I started hurting the day that I had 9 months, my 9 months clean birthday. And I called this counselor, and I had written this big suicide letter. And not that I would ever actually do that, I didn't want to commit suicide, but I wrote the suicide letter just so I could let people know, how bad, that I felt inside, because I wanted people to take pity on me. And I wanted people to say, oh, it's not my fault. I didn't want to take responsibility for my life or my recovery. And in 9 months, I went to talk to this counselor, and she said, okay, you have 2 choices. You can either go to meetings, and maybe make it to your year birthday, or you can keep on doing what you're doing, and I guarantee you will die. And I told her right then, I said, I don't know if I'm willing to go to 90 meetings in 90 days and all this other shit. I'm not into that. I don't want that. I had forgotten how good it was when I was in Colorado. I was still clean, and I decided, it was like I left and I told her, no, I'm not going to be able to do this. But right when I left from her office, I went straight to a meeting, and I had been to a meeting every day since. In the last 3 months, I've gotten more gifts than since 4 months. Since about my 9-month birthday, I've gotten more gifts and felt more true happiness than I have in 18 years. That feeling of being accepted, walking down the street and and running into, I walk down the streets in San Francisco and I can run into other addicts. And it's just an incredible feeling, walking to people on the sidewalks, like, hey, how you doing? It's not like, hey, what's up, and walk around and leave. It's, hey, how you doing? And I can honestly tell them, I'm not feeling good right now, can we chat? And I dump on them, and I tell them what's going on. Today, it's like I choose to do the work that I need to do to stay clean. Today I choose to go to meetings. Today I choose to have a sponsor and call her. Today I choose to practice 24 spiritual principles in my life on a daily basis. In recovery, I've been able. Simple that I think that the spirituality part, the fact that I have a higher power. I used to, when I first got clean, I kind of called it the Force be with you, like Star Wars, because I didn't really have that defined. And now. It's just, I don't care, I don't need a name, it's just there. I have a power that's greater than myself, and I have a power that brought me back from the dead. I have somebody up there and out there who really cares about, my existence, because they brought me back from the dead, or almost the dead. I was spared death. I have people that I call, if I'm hurting, if I want to use, I have people that I can choose to call in San Rafael, in San Francisco, in Colorado, in Idaho, up and down California. It's Michigan. It's a real neat space to be in, is to have people that I can call long distance and even call collect if I want to. It's a real nice feeling to be able to be welcomed, on the phone, or have my feelings be validated by someone else who's willing to listen to them. There's been a lot of simple, things that have been sidekicks of sobriety. Like, I was able to graduate high school with my high school diploma. I didn't want a GED. I wanted to get my Catholic, high school diploma, which I had worked for 3.5 years for. And I was able to get that. I was able to go to the art school of my choice, which is here in California. I've been able to make mistakes. I was never capable of having a relationship with another human being that I was using. Now today, it's like that's an option, and I have a relationship, relationships in my life today that is phenomenal. I could never understand, why people are like that. My boyfriend, my girlfriend, this and that, and I can feel love and feel accepted. I've had to work through a lot. I've had to work, I've had to work through a lot of issues, like being molested. I've had to, work through a lot of character defects and a lot of fear. I let fear handicap my life a lot. Recovery. Recovery to me is like a process. It's not. It's the opposite of a practicing addiction. It's a slow process. For instance, part of my recovery has been 53 days ago. I decided to that I was addicted and powerless over cigarettes, and I had had enough of cigarettes. I was tired of waking up with a smoker's hangover and spending, the money, to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. And I've been able to apply, what I've learned through 12-step programs to having 53 days off of nicotine, which has been really great. It's like the rewards. It's like, okay, if I stop smoking for one day, that saves me $3. But stop smoking cigarettes, for 2 months, and it's like all of a sudden there's $100 extra in my pocket. It's like that difference between the $3 and the $100. That's what recovery is. It's like it's a long, steady, slow thing. And each time I go through like some pain or discomfort, it's like I grow a little bit. I saw a film recently that was really bothering me, and it really set off like the craving and obsession. And I asked my HP to remove it, and it was like, I wasn't really that willing to let it go, but it's like I got through it, and 3 days after I saw the film, I've never been able to do such a thorough second step. I'm proud of like who I am today. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm making decisions for myself. I'm lucky that I have this family that I've never had before. It's filled a void. It's like recovery right now is the most important thing in my life, and all these other things that used to be the highlights, like going out to these clubs and going shopping and doing this and that. It's like they've, it's okay with me that they're not first choice, because I'm happier with what I have today. I'm happy with my recovery today. This convention, for example, I was able to work as a house painter this summer to save the money to come, and that's just a big step. That's an incredible thing. The fact that I was I'm able to work for the money, to buy the gas that goes into the car that gets driven to Los Angeles to go to this convention. The money that I work for to register, this feeling of, independence, and is just, it's like I'm, there's a big war that's over, and I feel today, and I'm not the kind of a, addict that likes feelings, and I do have negative feelings that I don't like, but somehow it's like they've always come through, and they've always been resolved. And through the pain, it's like I have found it's probably a bad expression, but it's like there's always been a pot of gold at the end of that razor blade, I still have a lot of things that I've yet to work on. One of the big, I'm real insecure, and my self-esteem issues are becoming very apparent, and my codependency issues are becoming even more so apparent, especially in the last 24 hours. I'm learning, it's like for the first time, about a month ago, I was able to look in the mirror, and, I was okay with what I saw in the mirror. I feel okay enough about, my physical self to be able to share it with another person, and I feel okay enough about my emotional status and spiritual status to be able to talk to a stranger, and say, hey, this is what's going on with me, and be able to take the risk and be real honest. Honesty, that's a good thing to talk about. I'm learning, it's taken me about a year and a half to not a year and a half, a little over a year to redefine the word honesty. I thought honesty was not telling a lie, and now I've really discovered the meaning of honesty, and it's being true to myself. And but there's by no means any way that I do that. But I'm learning more and more every day. I learned something today. I had an issue with another person today, and what I really wanted was to say no, but I was too scared, to say no for fear of I was upsetting another person. And I wasn't being honest with myself. I was not practicing reverse honesty. I feel real comfortable. It took me 3 months to learn that it was okay to say I'm scared, I'm frustrated, I'm sad, and I'm feeling joy. And so those four feelings, sadness and frustration, or sometimes provokes anger, and the fear. They're like the root of everything. They're the root of those. One of those four is every time I interact with another human being, one of those four feelings is felt, and I need to, when I'm doing my best is when I can recognize which of those four feelings it is. And when I have a conflict with another person, it's easy for me, when I can establish which feeling it is, it's easier for me to deal with the problem in a rational way. And another real, scary hang-up, another one of my inacceptance issues is the fact that I'm 19 years old, and people I've hung out with all my life have been in their 30s and 40s, and I'm real scared, and I hate being around people that are my age. I mean, I want to be bigger, and I want to be better, and I have all this image stuff, the black cowboy boots with the silver tips on them. There's always this visual image stuff that I crave, and sometimes it gets in the way of my recovery. But maybe I'll find a healthy way, to be able to balance out. To me, art and drugs were kind of like the same thing, and now I'm starting to learn that there's a difference. There's a big difference. I have a message to give, and that is that I'm clean, and I think that no addict who died seeks recovery. I have a couple 24 hours of that recovery, and I want to pass it on, and I want to pass it on to people who, special people like me.